Cancer is not just one disease, but a set of diseases, all characterized by abnormal and uncontrolled cell division. Despite the heterogeneity of the disease, all cancers do have some things in common. These common characteristics are called the hallmarks of cancer. This video will briefly introduce the 10 hallmarks and characteristics that distinguish cancer cells from normal cells.
No two cancers are alike. Two different people with cancer may require different types of therapies and can experience very different treatment outcomes. This complexity, or heterogeneity, can make cancer very difficult to treat. The first 6 features of cancers that scientists described were the abilities to sustain growth, resist cell death, avoid growth suppression, replicate DNA and divide indefinitely, trigger the growth of new blood vessels, and invade other tissues by spreading to other parts of the body.
In addition to these 6 original hallmarks, cancer also has the capability to avoid destruction by the immune system and change the way it uses energy compared to normal cells. Finally, cancers have characteristics that enable them to thrive. They can contain a lot of abnormalities and mutations in their DNA, as well as take advantage of the immune system to promote their survival and growth.
But what do all these hallmarks mean? Let's briefly discuss each of them.
Number 1. Cancers demonstrate sustained proliferative signaling. Usually, signals in the body and environmental cues tell cells when to grow, when to stop growing, when to divide, and when to die. Cancer cells do not respond to these signals, leading to uncontrolled and continuous cell growth and division.
2. Cancers can resist cell death. Cells may sustain damage or undergo unfavorable biochemical changes over time. There are certain mechanisms that recognize such changes and rid the body of these abnormal cells. These cells receive signals to undergo programmed cell death, a process called apoptosis. Cancer cells can ignore these death signals, resulting in further survival and growth.
Number 3. Cancers can evade growth suppressors. Appropriate signals in the body prevent uncontrolled cell growth and division. Cancer cells are able to override these signals to continue to grow uncontrollably.
4. The next hallmark described is the ability of cancer cells to enable replicative immortality, which is the potential for unlimited growth, replication, and division. Every time a cell divides, DNA is replicated or copied to daughter cells. Cells can only undergo a certain number of cell divisions because DNA can be copied for only so many cycles before its quality becomes too poor to sustain a cell's life. Cells can sense when they have already undergone too many divisions and DNA replication cycles and eventually die. A cancer cell is able to replicate DNA indefinitely, allowing the cell to live indefinitely.
Number 5. Cancers may induce a process called angiogenesis, or the formation of new blood vessels. Cancer cells require more nutrients and oxygen as they grow and divide. Like normal cells, they rely on blood vessels to provide them with these life-sustaining nutrients. Unlike most cells, however, they can trigger the growth of new blood vessels to supply these demands.
6. Cancers can invade normal tissue and can metastasize. Cancer cells that rapidly grow and divide can form a localized mass called a tumor. Cells from these masses can sometimes use the bloodstream to spread to other parts of the body through a process called metastasis. For example, cells from a primary tumor in the lung can have the eventual ability to enter the bloodstream and travel to the brain and develop a secondary tumor there. This is called a brain metastasis. Cancers that spread and then resettle to other parts of the body are often harder to treat and may not respond well to therapies.
Number 7. Cancers can avoid immune destruction. The immune system does more than fight pathogens. It recognizes abnormal-looking cells, including cancer cells, and destroys them. Cancer cells can develop characteristics that disguise themselves as relatively normal cells, preventing the immune system from recognizing them.
8. Cancers deregulate cellular energetics. The metabolism of cancer cells can be very different from that of normal cells. For example, certain types of cancer cells feed on a lot of glucose, a type of sugar, and may take in nutrients differently compared to normal cells. The ways in which cancer cells use energy can affect their growth patterns, which are different from normal cells.
Number 9. Cancers have genomic instability and accumulate mutations. Over time, our DNA acquires changes called mutations. In fact, we may be getting mutations as we speak. These can be harmful, but are of no consequence most of the time. Mutations are usually harmless or are repaired by our cells before they can cause damage. Cancer cells, however, tend to accumulate mutations in their DNA and are less able to repair DNA errors. These mutations are often harmful and affect how cells behave.
10. Cancers can drive tumor-promoting inflammation. Cancer cells can take control of the immune system to create a more favorable environment for tumor cells to survive and grow. Some cells that participate in the inflammation process can in fact help cancer cells survive. However, such persistent and excessive inflammation can lead to chronic inflammation, which has harmful effects on the body. Ongoing efforts are being made to uncover new characteristics of cancer and to better define them. Recent research has uncovered some new features of cancer.
It is important to note that cancer will not always be only defined by these hallmarks, as our knowledge of cancer is always a work in progress.
But if we can better understand the basic biology of cancer and what makes a cancer cell tick, we will be able to develop better strategies to target them and treat patients.